a US destination, but also has this rich, exotic Pacific island culture. So travelers really get the best of both worlds with, no passport required, no language barrier, but they can visit a place where they can experience this fascinating history and incredibly authentic culture through the Hawaiian language, the hula, the food, incredible historical attractions. They can visit 3 royal palaces, ancient temples, local festivals. There's just so much to experience. And you'll hear the term aloha, right, a lot. The aloha spirit is certainly synonymous with Hawaii. You'll hear it as a greeting, but it's so much more than that. It's this intangible, it's a value system that's really woven into the lives of the Hawaiian people. It's this genuine sense of warmth and inclusiveness and kindness that really is the heart and soul of the Hawaiian culture, and something that has kept visitors coming back, year after year. And, if we think about the year that we've all just had, Hawaii offers so much of what everyone is looking for now more than ever. A gorgeous natural environment, fresh air, blue skies, clean, clear waters, and wide open spaces to really kind of, get off the beaten path and explore. And one of my favorite things is that it really offers this very diverse experience. You've got so much more than sun, sand, and surf. You've got 6 distinct islands, 6 unique experiences, really offering a little bit of something for everyone. You've got these crystal blue waters, stunning green cliffs, and black sand beaches. The wide open spaces of Hawaii are really an incredible backdrop for couples, for families, for golfers, for those adventurers, foodies, as well as wellness seekers. So definitely something for everyone.
Well, I don't know about everyone else on the call, but I'm just ready to go right now. I don't know if we need to talk any further because, again, I'm just drooling over the fact that we get to visit these amazing islands. But when we do talk about the Hawaiian Islands, we tend to say Hawaiian Islands, but there's some very specific differences between the various islands in Hawaii. So can you expand a little bit more on maybe what you'd recommend, or for who, or which island kind of fits what needs or wants out of that vacation?
Sure, no, absolutely. And that's why that's an amazing thing about Hawaii. It's also sometimes can be overwhelming, right, with all of the choices. And this is when a trusted cruise planner's advisor comes in. They're going to take the time to get to know you, what is most important, and can really put together the Hawaiian vacation to exactly what you're looking for. So I'm going to kind of whisk you away on a virtual tour to give you just a little sense of each island's unique personality. And I always say, people say, well, what island do you like the best? And I say, well, it's like if you have 6 children. Well, God bless you, right? If you have 6 children, but if you have 6 children, hopefully you love them all equally, but you love them for their own uniqueness. So I'm going to kind of just share a little bit of what each island's feel and personality is. So when we talk about the island chain, we'll kind of start with the northernmost, the oldest of all the islands, which is the beautiful island of Kauai. And Kauai can be described as lush, idyllic, peaceful, serene, and even endless shades of green. So you think about Kauai, the people that are drawn to that island are attracted to nature and this island's really peaceful, immersive environment. They tend to, want to travel to escape the busyness of everyday life, and they tend to prefer relaxation and rejuvenation. If you're looking for nightlife, definitely not your island. And as 80% of the island is inaccessible by car, the majority of this island is just unspoiled natural beauty. I tell people Kauai is a place that when you arrive, you just kind of take that breath, put down your phone, breathe deep and unwind. It's really about kind of rediscovering a special connection to nature on this beautiful island. And even though it has this relaxing quality to it, what I love about it is there's plenty of outdoor adventures to really experience the natural beauty of that island. So now we're going to hop over to the incredible island of Oahu. And if you think about, what are some of the words to kind of paint the picture of Oahu, you think about words like energy, vibrant, urban, contemporary, iconic, and even cosmopolitan, because you've got this wonderful area of Honolulu and Waikiki, but it's also been described as town and country. And this is what makes this island very unique, is it's the only island offering a true urban experience with the shopping and dining and nightlife, but then the backdrop of a beautiful tropical island. So visitors to Oahu are active travelers. They're highly engaged and they kind of relax by having fun. They do enjoy nature, but again, a lot of these visitors are really interested in the shopping, the dining, nightlife, and love to enjoy the local festivals and events as well. So we say Oahu is energizing. You know, it's really kind of the lively center of the island chain, excitement and adventure, you know, all around you. And of course, famous for iconic Waikiki Beach, Pearl Harbor, and of course, the surfing mecca on the North Shore. So always something to do. And even a lot of people don't realize that, but even just disappearing into the lush tropical beauty from the mountains to the ocean. So now we're gonna hop over to our next island, to the beautiful island of Maui. And if we had to kind of capture Maui's personality, it's just that really laid back and leisurely feel to it. You know, it's dotted with small towns for you to kind of just discover at your own pace. People coming to Maui, you know, are definitely looking for variety and choice and, you know, more spontaneous adventures. They enjoy nature, they love soft adventures, but also, of course, relaxing on the beach and meeting local artisans. You know, Maui is this wonderful combination where you have these kind of incredible experiences, which I'll talk about in a little bit, meeting this wonderful small town charm. So you do kind of get the best of both worlds. You have this blend of sophistication with world-class resorts, golf, dining, shopping, spa, and beaches, but the simplicity of the charming small towns. One of my favorite parts of Maui is upcountry, which are the slopes of Haleakala. Not far from the resort areas, offers farms and beautiful gardens and some really unique farm to table experiences. You know, when you think of Maui, you think of friendly people, picturesque landscapes. You know, there's just tons that you can find and experience on Maui. And if you weren't aware, actually, Maui is part of Maui County, which two of the smaller islands, Lanai and Molokai, I just wanted to touch on briefly, because you can stay on these islands or even just pop over for a day trip. You know, and the island of Lanai is like your own private island. You know, it's serene, it's secluded, it's refined. Definitely an island that's more so for those looking for luxury and soft adventure. So people wanting to visit Lanai are looking for serenity and luxury, but definitely a lot of great things to experience in terms of soft adventure, and really looking for that quiet, serene, and private lifestyle. So it's definitely the smallest inhabited of all of the islands, and it really offers an escape from it all. World-class resorts, amenities, wellness, and championship golf. So a lot to experience on that small island as well. Maui's other sister island is Molokai, which can be described as rustic, rugged, unspoiled, and absolutely authentic. It's really about that old style Hawaii and focused on community. So visitors that are looking to go to Molokai want to, you know, learn about, understand, and experience a simpler way of life. It's natural and rustic, and it really is very true to its island roots. You know, not even a traffic light on the entire island, where visitors can really feel the Hawaiian culture and that aloha spirit. So we're going to finish our whirlwind journey on the island of Hawaii, which is nicknamed the Big Island, as it is twice the size of all the other islands combined. And just the sheer size and diversity of this island are absolutely awe-inspiring. So it's actually the youngest. It is the southernmost in the island chain and the most diverse, as it's actually home to all but 4 of the Earth's 13 climate zones. So incredibly diverse. Words that capture the essence of this island is culture and active, exploration. And it's an island of contrast. You know, you have the saturated ocean blues and greens and blacks. And of course, this island is synonymous with volcanoes. Visitors to this island are active, adventurous. They have an insatiable curiosity for history and culture, and they're looking for unique and unusual adventures you can't get anywhere else. And they're definitely interested in natural wonders that create that experience of a lifetime. What's amazing too is on this island, you can see see some of the most pivotal sites in Native Hawaiian history and even visit an active volcano. So you've got crystal blue waters of the west side to the black sands and incredible botanical gardens and waterfalls on the east side. So much to see and do on this island that really invites exploration and adventure. And again, this is where a trusted travel advisor from Cruise Planners comes in, so they can really make sure and they're matching you with the right island or island combination.
Wow, that was fabulous. What a great tour of the islands. And now, of course, I want to go not only to Hawaii, but all of the islands. But now you mentioned the word adventure a couple of times, and there is no doubt that there are a lot of options and a lot of things to do once you're in the islands. But with your experience, what are just a couple of things that you would say if someone goes to Hawaii, you'd be disappointed if they didn't do at least a couple of these? So what would those be?
Yeah, there's so much, and that's what makes it amazing, but also could be overwhelming. But if I had to pick some of my must-sees, must-dos, seeing the Nepali coast on the island of Kauai is 17 miles of these incredible soaring cliffs, and they're just absolutely breathtaking. And there's only a few ways you can experience them. You can experience them by hiking. You can experience them beautifully from helicopter, but even by boat. So if you wanted to do a catamaran, a kayak, a zodiac raft, or even if you're sailing past on the Norwegian cruise, you can take in these stunning cliffs, which are definitely one of those bucket list experiences. Going to the island of Hawaii, going to the Big Island, you've got to see Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. It is incredible. They have over 150 miles of hiking trails, and you can actually see the impact of the 2018 lava flow, which was quite eventful, actually added 900 acres of land to that island. And the crater is 15 times larger than it originally was. So it's an incredible way to really see the impact of Mother Nature on this amazing island. And you've got so many incredibly rich history and cultural experiences. I mean, you can't go to Hawaii without visiting the Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu. I've probably seen this 20, 30 times, and it is still so incredibly moving. They have a wonderful museum and visitor center where you really kind of learn about what led up to and happened during World War II. You get to take a Navy boat onto the beautiful memorial, which is right over the sunken hull of the USS Arizona battleship. 1,177 crew members still entombed there below. Is just one of those incredibly special experiences. And going to Maui, when you talk about special experiences, the sunrise before sunset at Haleakala Crater, which is actually the world's largest dormant volcano, more than 10,023 feet in elevation. Haleakala in Hawaiian literally translates to mean house of the sun. It is absolutely incredible to be at the summit and look at that sun seemingly rises straight out of the center. Full disclosure, I did this on January 30th to ring in my 50th birthday. So definitely a magical experience. I'd also say snorkeling or whale watching on the island of Maui is amazing. Whale season is December through, late April, early May, the humpbacks migrating down. So if you're there, you can get an incredible snorkel and a whale watch experience, which is absolutely spectacular. And then I definitely think a luau. A luau is a wonderful cultural and culinary experience, which really showcases the dances, the food and customs of all of Polynesia, all with a backdrop of an oceanfront sunset. So that's one of those bucket list things as well. So the stargazing, you've never seen so many stars as you've seen throughout the islands. Mauna Kea on the island of Hawaii is the tallest island mountain on Earth. You can actually see 90% of all stars visible from that spot. So an incredibly rare and beautiful experience. And if you do have clients that are staying, if you're staying on Oahu and you really want to experience, you want to get outside of Waikiki and Honolulu, drive up to the North Shore and experience that country ambiance, the shrimp trucks, beautiful beaches. And if you happen to be there in November or December, you can see the triple crown of surfing. We have surfers battling waves of up to 50 feet. So, so many amazing things to offer. And this is, again, the value your Cruise Planners travel advisor can help set up and pre-arrange these experiences to ensure that you don't miss a thing.
Wow. Well, you hit on one of my favorites. I actually, believe it or not, did a backpack trip through the crater of Haleakala down to Seven Sacred Falls, which are another amazing part of Hawaii and an amazing experience. So we all know that one of the things that we have all learned over this last year is that things are changing and changing constantly. So tell us a little bit about kind of what the protocols are right now in terms of any kind of testing, quarantines, or rules and regulations in terms of getting to Hawaii.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I was fortunate, to spend a few months there earlier in the year. And so I actually went through everything, from a firsthand perspective. And, through this whole process, Hawaii has always prioritized health and safety. So we're so happy to be, welcoming visitors back to Hawaii safely through a pre-travel testing program. So basically all that means is that visitors, can take a test 72 hours prior to departure. And that basically allows them to bypass the quarantine and really enjoy the best of Hawaii, all the best that Hawaii offers, and as travel to Hawaii and many other places is not as easy as it once was. Again, this is when your travel advisor can really help you navigate through all those protocols to ensure you have absolutely a seamless arrival experience into the islands, because there are specific tests you have to take. There's timing, there's, an app that you have to upload information. So there's a lot to it. So it's great to have somebody that's an expert and that can really walk you through that process. And, as many visitors have been doing just that, as we've looked at, our visitor arrival numbers have increased significantly in the past few months. We're seeing record-setting numbers of visitor arrivals through much of the summer. So if you're considering a trip to Hawaii in the near future, definitely important to start that process with your cruise planner's travel advisor as soon as possible. Flights, hotels, cars, and definitely are booking up quickly. As you can imagine, there's a huge pent-up demand for travel.
Well, Robin, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. One final question before I get on to our other great guests here to tell us a little bit more about how to experience Hawaii. Is there any time of year that you would recommend specifically of visiting the islands?
As I mentioned, summer's busy. If you do have flexibility and can plan a bit more in advance, you may want to look at fall or even early or mid 2022. If you are looking to travel during peak seasons, which would typically be July and August, our two busiest months of the year, over the holiday period, or during first quarter, you do need to book well in advance to secure your preferred dates. Typically, spring and fall are a bit of the shoulder season, so you may find a little bit better pricing and availability. The weather is wonderful year-round, so there is never a bad time to be in Hawaii. And I always recommend, if you're coming all the way from the Midwest or the East Coast, really, no less than 7 days, factoring in travel. If you've got 9 nights, 10 days, it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to enjoy and relax. Island hopping is easy, with flights averaging just 30 minutes to travel between the islands. So you can easily enjoy a customized multi-island vacation that visits more than one island, which Dave from Classic Vacations will talk about. And of course, the Norwegian cruise also allows you to get a taste of all those major islands while only unpacking once. And you can even do a land cruise combination. So the wonderful thing about Hawaii, your experience will be customized from start to finish by your cruise planner's travel advisor, and they'll ensure that you have the Hawaii vacation you've always dreamt about.
Robin, that was a great segue and a fabulous closing. Thank you so much for telling us about this amazing destination that's available to everyone, and just giving your expertise. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
my pleasure.
As you mentioned, I'm going to be talking to 2 more guests to learn even more, and I don't want you to go anywhere. So I do want to remind everyone, we're actually going to have some surprise and delight little surprises that'll come up towards the end of today's webinar Zoom call. So make sure that you stay on. I will be announcing some winners, and you'll get some special gifts from Cruise Planner. But before I make those announcements, let me jump over to Mr. Dave Ferran. And Dave, I'm excited about having you with us. You are with Classic Vacations, and Classic, of course, has been known to be a specialist in Hawaii for many, many years. And you personally, I think, know the islands incredibly well. So tell us a little bit about your background, and then also tell us, does Hawaii really have something for everyone?
Well, thank you very much for having me join you today. 30 years selling Hawaii, Classic Vacations. We started as Classic Hawaii. We were a single destination tour company. So many years spent selling that wonderful destination. For me, there's something for everyone. That's, as Robin said, each of the islands is different. Each of us is different. You know, I'm all about the next best pool. If you said I'm landing on the Big Island, Hawaii, I want to get to Hapuna Beach. So I want to get to the beach. I want to get in the ocean. So, you know, it really depends upon the individual's dreams, passions, interests, what they like to do at home, what they want to try someplace else. So there is definitely something for everyone. You can be as quiet as you want to be. You can do the drive to Hana. You know, you can just be one with nature. As Robin said, you know, I love Oahu. I mean, over the past 15 years, I'm sure Robin can add more, but Honolulu has totally gentrified, cleaned itself up, organized itself. The streets are wonderful. Restaurants are great. I was just there. I've been to Hawaii 4 times during the pandemic. And I remember, you know, I was recently at the Sheraton Waikiki looking down at Waikiki Beach. Iconic. Diamond Head in the distance. So, you know, the cruise planner's advisor will talk to the client, and really kind of understand, you know, where they're coming from. First trip to Hawaii, second trip, third trip, what they want to do, how many nights. So absolutely, there is so much to do in Hawaii.
So that's great to hear, Dave. And you know, both you and Robin mentioned the importance of course, using your cruise planner advisor to really get to all of the wants and needs and desires that you want from this vacation. And so some of the questions that I asked all 3 of our guests are the same kind of questions that your cruise planner advisor is going to be asking you to make sure that they set up the right vacation. Then one of those questions, Dave, I want to get your feedback on is, in terms of the choice between, should I just go to one island and kind of make that the reason I go, or should I maybe consider the island hop, and how would you recommend one way or the other?
I really think it's up to the individual. Maybe it's up to how many times you've been to the islands. It may be that you're going, you know, if you are ex-military, you may absolutely want to have a focus on, as Robin was saying, you know, pre-pandemic, I visited Pearl Harbor again, and what a great experience that was. Really enjoyed that. So I can kind of do the whole World War II thing. That is of interest to me. So, you know, it really kind of depends. But I think, you know, certainly if you haven't been to Hawaii, or it's your first, second, third time, you know, island hopping is great because each island is different. And I, you know, again, Robin's descriptions were perfect. You know, I mean, for me, I like Maui, southern part of the island. It's drier, it's warmer. I love that weather. On the other hand, you know, if I go to the Big Island, Saturday farmers market up in Waimea, I like farmers markets. So, you know, I like to hit all my bases. So I think if you've been before, you kind of know a little of this and a little of that. Some people are Maui people. You know, it's funny, I'm here in California, so it's kind of like it's next door. So a lot of Californians go to Maui. If you're coming from the East Coast, Midwest, maybe you haven't been before, maybe a couple of times, you might be doing the island hopping thing. And again, the flights are very short. It's very easy. You know, the blessing of the islands is outside of Oahu, no real freeways, no real traffic. So you can just navigate however you want to do it. If you find a shaved ice place and you want to try it, great. If you want to do a little shopping in Makawao, upcountry Maui, great. So I'd say, you know, the cruise planner's advisor will talk to the customer, try to feel them out, you know, how they've traveled, things that are important, you know, soft adventure, active adventure, ocean focus, just want to hang out at the spa. You can do it all. And I think that's really great.
I love it. So Hawaii obviously is so appealing, but the question I have for you is it the right kind of destination for what we are seeing certainly is a trend for a lot of people, the multi-gen type of travel, from the grandparents to the parents to the kids to the grandkids, all the way through. Is it the right destination for that?
Well, I think it's the right destination all the time, but especially now. And building on what Robin said earlier, we're coming out of the pandemic, but Hawaii has set up a tremendously successful safety and health protocol system for all visitors. So it's an extremely safe destination, more so than almost anywhere. So I think as we're coming through the pandemic with the focus on reconnecting with family, you know, if you want to take mom and dad or bring mom and dad and you've got kids and aunts and uncles, you can do all kinds of things. You know, Hawaii is great for singles, couples, families, young kids, older kids, but especially on the multi-gen side. And Hawaii has the inventory. You know, you have the multi-bed inventory, or you can do 3 hotel rooms. You can get 2 hotel rooms that connect if you've got younger children. So there's all different kinds of ways that you can put together, you know, family living in Hawaii and make it work. You know, you can do the condo, you can do the hotel, the various price points, the different islands. So yeah, I would say, especially as we're kind of, you know, I don't want to say we're out of the pandemic yet, but as we kind of are moving farther along, and with the safety of Hawaii, you can bring everyone and everyone can have a great time, and grandma and grandpa can just kind of hang. You know, if they were in Honolulu, they could be at the Moana on the rocking chairs, just kind of looking out at the ocean while, you know, mom and dad go play golf and the kids are at the pool, and everyone can be safe and happy. So yeah, Hawaii's a great destination for multi-gen.
Excellent. So one of the things that Robin brought up were some of the multiple adventures or highlights throughout the islands. And do you have any specifically that you would also recommend, or that you think is certainly worth booking through Classic?
Yes, I mean, again, you know, it ends up kind of being a very personal choice. You know, I remember my very, very, very first trip when I was 29, and I did the trip to Molokini, which is the crater in the ocean out there off Maui. And you know, we're on the boat, we're heading out there, and you know, it's a federally protected marine reserve. You snorkel, and they said, well, you're going to jump in the ocean, you're going to swim around. Like, okay, you know, this is the kid. This is my, you know, hadn't been to Hawaii really before, so but it was really cool, right? You're wearing your life preserver, you're swimming in real ocean water, and you got your goggles and your fins and the whole thing. And so for a little more active, it's great. Another one of my favorites is the Trilogy sail out of Lahaina. So there's, you know, it's kind of like you get what you pay for. The Trilogy sail is the best. Now, part of my lens is always food. I freely admit it. So they have the best cinnamon rolls in the morning. So the food component on Trilogy is outstanding. So for me, that's kind of extra important, and I really do enjoy it. Beyond that, you know, I will say, you know, a little more active. I did this one time, and I don't know that I have all the right words to describe it, but for those that want to kind of push the needle, you know, I was in a glider, and, you know, we were pulled up, and this was on Oahu. I think we left from maybe like Dillingham Air Base, on Oahu, the northern part of the island. And, you know, it was me and this pilot, and we're just gliding all around over Oahu. So if you're a, you know, an airplane enthusiast, if you're ex-military, it could be really cool. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, many of them water centric, but as I said, food is important to me. You know, I could tell you about my favorite Vietnamese restaurant anywhere is Ba Le. I land at Kahului Airport, get my car, and I head directly to Ba Le at the food court. And I think they have the best Vietnamese food anywhere. So, you know, there's all different kinds of activities that you can do, from pretty easy peasy to more active.
Well, I think we could actually probably do an entirely different webinar just on the cuisine in Hawaii.
Absolutely, and it's a huge,
you know,
it's a huge piece of the fun part of traveling to Hawaii.
You're absolutely right. So you mentioned that certainly there's different ways to experience Hawaii from an accommodations perspective. And, everything that Robin talked about and you've talked about is certainly available to everyone who goes. But one of the big differentiators is the type of accommodations that you choose, and whether you want to travel as a rock star or on a budget is really, obviously one of the choices. And I know that our travel advisors, based again on the conversations that they will have with each of you that are listening, to determine those accommodations, but Classic actually provides a lot of those options, right? So tell us maybe a couple of suggestions that you would have of favorites of yours and why they're favorites in terms of the accommodations.
Sure. Well, I think what I would do as a precursor, I would say one of the most awesome things about point in time Hawaii is the amount of money that the various hotel companies have put into renovation, upgrading, rehabilitation. I mean, every hotel looks great. And again, I saw much of this in one of these 4 trips that I've made during the pandemic. So just sharing. I mean, the Westin Maui has completely reconceptualized the entire footprint of the property. Absolutely magnificent, great for families, couples, singles. It's a more active property. It's got the water slide. It's got the serenity area for the adults. But again, they put $300 million into the property. All new rooms, lobby, food and beverage outlets. It really just is in beautiful shape right there on Kaanapali Beach. Now, if you said to me, Dave, I want to go to our great beach, but I don't want a lot of hotels. I'd say head over to the Big Island and check out either Mauna Kea or Hapuna. Each is on its own beach, and they are iconic. Mauna Kea was built by Lawrence Rockefeller in the 1960s. Big Island, Hawaii at that point was a pretty quiet island. Mr. Rockefeller got in his little helicopter and flew around looking for that great spot that he could buy to build this hotel on this great beach. If you look at anything in Waikiki, I mean, again, from the Royal Hawaiian to the Moana Surf Ride to Sheraton Waikiki, all of the properties on Waikiki are great. Beautiful white sand beach. I actually love Waikiki at low tide because you can walk so far out. It's just fascinating to me. A totally different experience. Wasn't expecting that I could walk out that far. So again, if you want a bit more of a modern property, Hawaii offers that. If you want a more traditional, like the Royal Hawaiian or the Moana Surf Rider, pulling the heritage, from the early part of the 1900s, properties are more isolated. So, great choices all around, but I'd give a shout out to Mauna Kea. I'd give a shout out to the Royal Hawaiian and one of my favorites on the island of Maui, which is the Fairmont Kealani Maui. It's on Polo Beach. It's an all suite property. So it's good for me because I kind of like to go to Safeway or as I said, I like to go to Ballet. I'll get my pho, but I might get 2 pho to go, bring them back to the hotel, put them in the have them in the refrigerator so I can heat them up in the microwave. So I kind of like a combo, right, in terms of how I live my vacation. But Fairmont Kealani is great. So lots of choices out there.
I love it, Dave. And again, I just want to mention that the cruise planners agency that we're going to be working with, if you're on this call, again, is going to ask you a number of questions and determine the right vacation for you. And the beauty is that Classic Vacations actually, as I mentioned, really can package up a perfect Hawaii vacation by offering all of the elements that you might be looking for, from the resort to the transportation to activities, all the different pieces to make your vacation really fabulous. And so I will end with this, Dave, to say that, Robin mentioned about times of year that are, maybe the best time to consider. But in terms of traveling this year or next year, or, is this maybe something to wait for? What would you recommend? And when should someone travel to Hawaii?
You know what? I would encapsulate what Robin said. And it's true. You got to plan in advance because, we all kind of, when we get to a certain age, we kind of know what we like. So we want to get what we want, right? And to do that, you've got to kind of plan ahead. And, like I said, I don't want that other catamaran company right? If I'm a golf fan, I may want to play on certain courses. I want to make sure I can get my tee times. If I've been before, there's certain restaurants that I always go to. And so I want to make sure I can get a reservation. So I think, what Robin said is true. Summer's busy. There are pockets of opportunity. The Cruise Planner Advisor can help you navigate pockets of opportunity. I always like traveling in shoulder season because there were fewer people in the islands. And so again, that would be your fall of 21, and it would be your spring before the kids get out of school, right? And it could even be early in December before the holiday season starts. So, hey, I'm always looking for a good value, right? And those are the times that I'm going to travel, and I would encourage people to consider. But at the same time, 21 is a unique year, right? I think we've all, kind of saved quite a bit of money over the pandemic, not traveling, not doing this, not doing that. It may be that you really do want to do a trip of a lifetime, and Hawaii can magically do that. So then you can look at these pockets of opportunity, if you want to travel tomorrow or next month. All of it's an option.
I think that sounds great. I think we can all agree there's probably no real bad time to go to Hawaii, but it's the plan ahead aspect that I think that both of you have hit on that is important, is that especially again coming out of the pandemic, is that demand is going to be very high for the islands and the whole island experience. So again, I think the more you can plan in advance and get with your cruise planner advisor to make those plans, I think the more you're going to get, as you say, Dave, what you want and what you're looking for as they can craft that great experience. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for your time again, Dave, and joining us. We'll bring you back here in just a little bit to talk about a great offer that actually we have available to all of our listeners. So thank you, Dave. And now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but not entirely, because we're certainly still going to stay right within the islands of Hawaii. But before we do that, and before we get to our next presenter, I did want to announce our surprise and delight winners. So, surprise and delight winners, we have Nona Akos, Kathy Schlecht, and Christine Hazley. So congratulations to the three of you. You will be receiving some goodies in the mail from Cruise Planners on behalf of your Cruise Planners Advisor. Well, as I mentioned, we have one additional guest that we have brought on to help you experience Hawaii in really a very different way, in a very unique way. And that is with Norwegian Cruise Line. And we have Glenn Roth here, who is going to tell us about that experience. So Glenn, welcome.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Glad to be here. It was very, very difficult having to listen to both Robin and Dave talk about Hawaii. They are such great ambassadors for the brand, for just the brand of Hawaii. I always love listening to Robin talk because you can tell how much passion there was. And Dave, I think this is the first time I've heard you talk, but you have so much passion for it too. And rightfully so, because Hawaii is a great place to visit. And I mean, you guys do a great job of really making it come to life. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go back to Hawaii.
I love it. And I am too, but I'm going to ask you maybe the first and foremost question. So when you're going to go to Hawaii, which I think you're right, based on Dave and Robin, we all want to go now, there's no question. Why cruise? Why take a cruise to go to Hawaii?
Well, I mean, cruising in Hawaii, especially with Norwegian, is uniquely different, right? For all the reasons I think both Robin and Dave touched on. Because there are 7 islands there, most people, when they go on vacation, they don't have time. They don't have the time to be able to spend what you need, especially in a place like Hawaii, because it is so varied. One of the unique things about Hawaii that I saw just a couple of years ago, back in 2019, I went on the Pride of America, and it amazed me. I think both of Robin and Dave mentioned how different each of the islands were, because I grew up an airline brat. My dad worked for the airlines. Every year we flew to Oahu from Chicago, and I went to Oahu, and to me, Hawaii was Oahu. And what I found when I did the cruise on Pride of America, I'm like, wow, Hawaii has so much more to offer than just Oahu. that it just blew me away. It was fantastic. And so the unique thing about Norwegian Cruise Line and how we cruise in Hawaii is we do every single week, we do 7-day round trip itineraries out of Honolulu. So our guests will fly to Hawaii, get on the ship on a Saturday, and they will travel to 4 of the different islands over the course of 7 days. And just to kind of give you a sense of everything that you're going to be able to see, we leave Honolulu at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. By the time you wake up in the morning, you're already docked in Maui, in Kahului, in Maui. And you get to spend not just that one day, but it doesn't leave until 6 o'clock the following day. So I think there's so much to do in Maui and so many great opportunities to be able to explore Maui that we give you, I would say, 2 full days in Maui. And that then gives people the opportunity to maybe do something on their own, but also potentially do a shore excursion. We've had people actually get off the ship and then go stay at a resort or an Airbnb or something on the island, and then come back to the ship the next day. So they wanted to experience something totally different. But then when they get back on the ship on day 2, then again, the next morning, they arrive in Hilo. So, Hilo, part of the Big Island, they get to spend all day in Hilo, hop back on the ship, go out to a nice dinner on the ship. The next morning, they get up and now they're in Kona. They have gone to the other side of the island, which again is a completely different experience, based on well, you guys could probably explain it better than I could, but they are 2 kind of different climates, the different sides of the island there in the Big Island. And then on day 5, you actually arrive in, I'm going to say this wrong. Robin, help me if I say it wrong. No, Willy Willy? Is it close enough? Okay, close enough.
Very good.
And that's on the island of Kauai. So you actually get in at 8, and then you leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because what we do in Hawaii, or when we're in Kauai, is to really be able to experience the beautiful Nepali coastline by ship is certainly a unique way to do it, because you are sailing off the coast of the Nepali coastline. The ship does turn around, so you can sit there in your balcony cabin and be able to see it right in front of you. We also have some great gatherings up on the top of the ship as well, as the ship kind of circles and sees the Nepali coastline. And then the following day, you arrive back in Honolulu at 7 in the morning. So it really gives you the opportunity to spend a lot of time, 5 different ports, 4 different islands, over 100 hours in port time. And I don't know of any other cruise anywhere that spends that much time in port for a 7-day cruise.
So Glenn, when you're doing those overnights, I mean, you actually can kind of come and go as you please off the ship?
Yeah. Once you get off the ship, you can go, walk around town. You can go on a shore excursion. You can go off on your own. Come back to the ship. Get back off later in the evening if you want to have a nice dinner on one of the restaurants on the island. And as I mentioned, you can actually stay overnight if you want to stay overnight somewhere else and come back to the ship as long as you're on the ship by the time it leaves the following day. Yeah, it's just embarkation and disembarkation as you wish.
So some of the ports of call you dock and some tender, or is there significant difference there, or which is which? Well,
there's only one dock that we actually tender at, and that's the Kona port. Everything else, the ship pulls right up to the dock. And as I mentioned, you can get off and on as you please. But when you tender, you take one of our tender ships or tender boats from the ship, and then it takes you, and then they go back and forth throughout the day. So, if you want to spend 2, 3, 4 hours on the island, you can, and then you just hop back on the tender and it brings you back to the ship. But that's only one of the ports.
Glenn, when Robin and Dave both were talking about some of their favorite things to do and the favorite iconic things, I was thinking that you actually provide a good portion of those, if not all of them, as shore excursions that are available, right through Norwegian Cruise Line. So tell us a little bit more about some of the excursions and things that people can sign up for to experience.
Yeah, as Robin and Dave were talking, I was seriously thinking in the back of my mind, more things were coming up that I remembered. And so I could probably talk about all the different shore excursions that we do over the course of probably the next hour, but I'm not. I'm gonna hold him to a few. I noticed that I wanted to see how many shore excursions we actually do across that 7-day period, and we've got 85 different shore excursions to choose from. And some of them are very simple and casual. Others are a little bit more rugged and aggressive. One of my favorite ones that I went on a couple years ago was in Maui, doing an ATV tour in Maui, and that I was just looking through some pictures of it, and that was really cool because I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and if you remember when Jurassic Park came out, I don't even know, 20 years ago now, there are so many fantastic shots of the islands of Hawaii, different areas around there. And, being able to take the ATV tour through some of those areas where in the back of my mind, I was picturing these different scenes from Jurassic Park happening, super cool. So that was one of my favorites. And then something that really blew my mind when I was in Kauai, that I guess I never anticipated seeing was Waimea Canyon. I just remember it was we had these small little buses that dropped us off, and then when I just this overlook over Waimea Canyon, it just blew my mind that something like that would be in one of these, what I consider to be, these small islands. It was kind of like the Grand Canyon, and I would say a miniature version, but it was huge. It was so much more expensive than I anticipated. It was very surreal, I think, when I saw that. So that was pretty cool. And then something else I remember that I really liked was on the island of Maui. We did a tour of the Ocean Organic Vodka Distillery, and great family. I believe it was a family-run organization that did that. Great people. The vodka was fantastic, and they also have this toasted coconut rum as well that they make there. That was really good. So it was really unique and fun to learn and understand the effort that they go into an organic distillery, and then really how clean that vodka tastes, because I remember them telling the story of where they get the water from, like, I don't know, thousands of feet below, and it's not spring fed, but it's untouched by human hands, I guess, for super clean water. And it was really, really great experience. I mean, all the shore excursions that we do, especially in Hawaii, are kind of unique and different, and for different tastes, really depending on what you're looking for. And as I mentioned, it's so diverse. There are so many different options for people if they just want to chill out and relax on the beach. I mean, I live here in Miami, Florida, so going to the beach for me, it's fine, but I like to explore a little bit. So doing that ATV tour was definitely a little bit of exploring, and seeing Waimea Canyon again, that was really neat as well.
So there's no doubt, Glenn, that taking the cruise around Hawaii gives you that ability to island hop without having to hop, right? I mean, it literally allows you to get the taste of the various islands and only unpack once, which is certainly a huge advantage to cruising in general. And what really happens is you end up having this resort, so to speak, kind of be an oceanfront resort as you are there for your week. So tell us maybe a little bit more about the onboard experience. So in
Sure.
terms of dining options and obviously there's great opportunities to get off the ship, but there's actually a lot of reasons to stay on the ship, right?
Yeah, and for going to Hawaii, the ship is almost secondary, I think. It's your mode of transportation to see these beautiful different locations. But to your point, it is a Norwegian Cruise Line ship. It is a kind of a city there, floating on the water. I mean, we've got great dining opportunities. We've got great entertainment options. We've got things for kids. And then, you mentioned that one of the benefits of cruising, especially in this location, is the fact that you unpack one time. You get on the ship on Saturday, you unpack your stuff, and you don't have to pack it again. You get to see 4 different locations. And, another thing that I'm assuming, since all of you are probably pretty avid travelers, but we do get a question sometimes, and I'm sure the Cruise Planners Travel Advisors get this too. You do not need a passport to go to Hawaii. So no passport required. You can go to all those different locations. But we do give you the opportunity, again, to spend as much or a little time on the ship as you want. But we really want you to be able to experience the islands, which is why we do have those 2 overnights in Maui and 1 in Kauai. and over the 100 hours in port time. But one of the other unique features that we do offer as well is a cruise tour. We call it a cruise tour, and what that is you can do this on either half of your cruise, where you fly into Honolulu and you spend 3 days traveling around the island of Oahu. So you get to see a lot of what Oahu has to offer, and that includes the North Shore of Oahu, where those huge waves. Surfing is amazing up there. The Polynesian Cultural Center, which is something I remember going to Hawaii and seeing. Of course, luau's are great. The Pearl Harbor tour, the Kualoa Ranch tour, and then just getting the feel of Hawaii. So I just remember the first time, well, actually the last time I was in Hawaii, which I hadn't been to in probably 25 years, back in 2019, got to Hawaii, and as soon as I got off the plane, I knew I was in Hawaii. It's like this tropical smell that you get. You just know you're in the Hawaiian Islands, and it just kind of washes over you, and you kind of just get that feeling that you're in this tropical wonderland, throughout the whole time there. And it to me, Hawaii is a magical place. I mean, I have fond memories of it growing up, but it just reinforced that this last time I got to spend time on the Pride of America, doing those 7 days, and just how vastly different all the different islands are, and what a different experience that you get. And the great thing about it too is if you do this little sampling of islands while you're there, then your next trip, maybe you can book through Classic and spend more time on Maui and spend 4 or 5 days there, because you're like, oh, that was my favorite place. Or maybe Kauai was your favorite place and you want to spend more time there. I mean, there's just so many opportunities to do lots of different things on the island.
Well, Glenn, thank you so much for sharing all the information about Norwegian Cruise Line's cruise through Hawaiian Islands, which again is such a fabulous way to experience multiple islands. And to your point, certainly depending on the amount of time you have and the type of vacation you're looking at, you can combine a land vacation as well as cruise. You can expand one versus the other, or certainly there's nothing wrong with booking 2 or 3 vacations, a cruise and a couple of land vacations to go back, depending on your time frame and what you might be looking for. But what I do want to jump into is that why book now? So regardless of when you're planning on traveling, whether it's 2 weeks from now or even a year from now, why should you book it now? And again, there's a number of reasons for that. And I'm just going to quickly go through the slide that you're now looking at. Supply and demand, as we know, demand is going to be very high for the next few years. So planning ahead, getting it set up the way that you want, even the activities, again, get those pre-scheduled. I think as Dave mentioned, your golf times, your tea times, whatever it takes to make sure that you've got those set so that the vacation doesn't have any disappointments when you do get to the islands. Remember, there's now flexible cancellation policies with these great suppliers. Price certainly, if anything, is going to go up. So now is the time to get these things locked in and get your trips locked in. You don't want to miss out on the vacation bucket list, the item that Hawaii certainly represents. And again, just stop streaming. That we've got to know about the deals. There are some great deals, which I'm about to get to. So hang in there. We're going to give you a couple specifically as to why to make those bookings now. And then vacationing is good for your health. Well, that's been the proven studies. So make sure you get that on the books for yourself. We know the rejuvenation shakes off 2020 and we can all forget about it. And what a great way to forget about 2020 than to simply go to Hawaii. And then certainly also to have something to look forward to. And remember, you snooze, you lose. So, book while there is indeed availability.
Yeah, and Scott, just a quick follow-up to that. Something that I didn't point out earlier is that Norwegian Cruise Line is the only cruise line that does the 7-day out of Honolulu. So there's some scarcity involved there. You can go to Honolulu or go to Hawaii on other cruise lines, but you have to take 3 or 4 days to get there. Then you spend your time and then take 3 or 4 days to get back. So I think, having this unique and exclusive experience where you can maximize the time that you're there is important as well. And it's not just you that's looking to book that same itinerary. So
I love it. That's a great point. So guys, this has been great. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Glenn. Been fabulous. But as I mentioned, we really want to make sure that you have every incentive to get your wonderful Hawaii vacation booked. and as soon as possible. So we have a special offer. Dave, let me have you tell us a little bit about the offer that Classic now has exclusively made available to cruise planners.
Well, there's two, so I'm gonna read from my phone so I get all the particulars. But as I mentioned earlier, when I was telling you about great property choices, Westin Maui, they have a 100 per day per room resort credit in their Hokupa'a Tower, which is right oceanfront. So if you're looking for that absolute best room category, $100 per day per room resort credit, 5-night minimum stay, and the travel dates all the way through the end of 21. There's a few blackout dates, but it's readily available. Also at the Sheraton Maui on Kaanapali Beach, iconic property built in the 60s, right there at Black Rock, great snorkeling. In their ocean view, deluxe ocean view, and oceanfront categories, a 150 one-time dining credit. Okay, and I would just close out by saying Classic runs an annual campaign called Take Off to Hawaii. So your cruise planners, advisors should always talk to us. Hey, tell me more about your takeoff campaign. Multiple properties participate. There's all kinds of awesome value adds that are unique to Classic, that are extra, more than you can get by booking direct. So remember Takeoff. That's our signature annual campaign to Hawaii.
Thank you, Dave. And again, some great opportunities to save not only in those two resorts, but just in general by working with Classic and certainly with your cruise planner's advisor to get that vacation set up. And Glenn, also a great offer from Norwegian.
Yeah, we've got two different offers. One of them, if you book a balcony on the Pride of America, which I highly encourage to book a balcony so you can sit out there and enjoy your Kona coffee while you're looking at the beautiful waters, the beautiful blue waters of Hawaii. If you book a balcony, you also will get a bottle of wine, you get chocolate covered strawberries, you get a 12-pack of bottled water, and a $50 dining credit that you can use on board. And then if you decide you want to escalate your experience a little bit more and book one of our suites, in addition to those things, you also get, well, actually you get a $100 dining credit and a $50 spa credit. So lots of great incentives to book. And this is all good through, as long as you book through June 22nd. So you've got quite a bit of time to make your Hawaii booking, to talk to your cruise planner's travel advisor about it, and to say, yes, this is the vacation I want to take.
Well, Glenn, you are right, and those are great offers, but as he did mention, there is a deadline. So the offers that we have from both Norwegian and Classic are valid until the dates that you see on your screen and that Glenn mentioned. So you definitely want to get together with your cruise planner's advisor as soon as possible to start working through the best Hawaii vacation that you could possibly imagine, and to certainly get a great value. And I'll also throw in that we have a couple of grand prize winners for anyone who does book within the window of a time that these offers are available. Everyone who makes a booking with either Classic Vacations or Norwegian Cruise Line has an opportunity to win one of our grand prizes. And the grand prize is for Classic Vacations is again, we'll choose one winner out of the folks who make a booking in the next few weeks. And that, of course, is going to be a $200 gift card from Classic Vacations. And if you are chosen as one of the folks that book a fabulous Norwegian Cruise Line cruise and book within those 2 weeks, we also are going to give you a $500 onboard credit. So again, phenomenal values, great opportunity to win even more. Again, we're real excited about your potential vacation to Hawaii and certainly hope that all of you will put it on your calendar, have something to look forward to. Again, we highly recommend reaching out to your cruise planner's advisor as soon as this call is done and start the process of, again, determining the best way to experience these amazing islands. So with that, I want to say thank you to our guests. It was great having you on the call. Thank you to all of you who attended. We hope that you are inspired and motivated to visit truly the islands of paradise. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye, aloha.